Once again, good afternoon and thank you so much for watching. We now return with a brief discussion, like I said a few minutes ago. We're going to talk about project management, what it is and what more we can understand about it. We have a whole institute in Uganda. We're also going to briefly get to know about it before we wind up. My guest, Mr. Barige Morris, is from the Project Management Institute, Uganda. You're welcome, boss.
Thank you, Michael.
With Miss PASIMA Sule.
That's right.
She comes from the Solid Rock Life and Business, and she's the CEO.
That's right.
You're most welcome.
Thank you very
I'll
much.
start with you, boss. What is project management, briefly?
Project management is a profession like many others. It's about how we run our projects in a particular manner. I like telling people that if you wanted to get an accountant, for example, or an auditor, would you get anyone out there? You'd have to get someone who is actually qualified to do that job. And then the challenge here is that many people think, no, this is just something that I can run around, and that's not the thing. The idea is that the project is something that is specific, that has a particular way in which it is run. There are professional ways of actually managing it, and that's what we try to promote as an institute. Yeah.
So in Uganda, what do we do with this profession?
So the profession here in Uganda has actually, we are trying to promote the need for actually running the profession in a very, very organized way. Because you have a number of projects that are actually failing, and you have a number of projects that are overrunning cost, overrunning time. So the idea here is to try and ensure that all these projects actually come back to the right path, they are running in the proper manner, and actually we have better professionals running this particular project. It's actually it's a very precise profession and needs to be followed as such.
Okay. Ms. Pasima, what is the role of project management in infrastructure development?
Well, I like what he says about it's a precise profession. So in terms of infrastructure development, it's projects that enable infrastructure development.
Okay.
Right. So if there are projects, then you need professionals that are trained to run projects.
Okay.
For infrastructure development to be successful in any country, you're going to have to need successful projects.
It's a combination of many projects.
So infrastructure development, you can have projects in construction because you're developing the infrastructure of a country. So you have projects in construction, projects in waters, projects in information technology.
Yes.
So all these different projects are what enable the infrastructure development in the country. But as my colleague said, if you don't have the right trained professionals overseeing these projects, bringing every pieces of the project together, the projects will fail, and hence infrastructure development will be hindered, because project management is a science and an art. So it is a structured and a disciplined profession where we learn how to kick off a project, initiate a project, take it through the different phases of the project, engage in all the different stakeholders, because in infrastructure development you have multiple players.
Okay.
You have public players, you have private players, you have the project team that is implementing the project. And if you're doing an infrastructure development project in a local community, you have, to consider the stakeholders in that community, because infrastructure development comes with changes sometimes, in our landscape, in our environment, in social in the social atmosphere of the community. So many changes come with infrastructure development, infrastructure projects.
Do you think in those parts of the world where there are gaps in as far as infrastructure development is concerned, it's due to gaps in project management?
I absolutely think so. Because you know why? The U.S. Department of Defense, created one of the most basic tools that we use in project management called the work breakdown structure.
Okay.
That was the Department of Defense. Another tool that we use, the PERT tool, which is used for scheduling, was the Navy Department. And then the PRINCE tool, which is the UK government methodology for project management, project in controlled environment, that was created by the UK government. So all the projects in the Western world are run through structured project management discipline. And that's why they're successful. And that's why the infrastructure is good. And that's why they're booming.
Okay, Mr. Barigi, so what do we have to do because I think we are one of those parts of the world where we are still ensuring to close gaps in as far as infrastructure development is concerned. So here we are with you, people that do the same, but the gaps are glaring.
Well, so the institute is only 5 years old. The profession has been in existence for hundreds of years. The institute in Uganda is only 5 years old.
So the profession is as old as the gaps?
The profession is as old as mankind.
That's
it's
right.
just that the profession has been, when you have a gap, then you try and find a way, how do I address this gap in a scientific manner? You notice that in any environment, you try and use science and precise science and art mechanism to address a problem. So as an institute, what we're trying to do is trying to say, how do we become, like my colleague PASIMA said, how do we become like those other countries where the projects are run on time, where things work? Every day in the newspapers, the other day, the permanent secretary, Minister of Finance, was talking about the number of projects that are actually going to be closed without being properly finished. Why? So the idea here we have is that these actually should be run in a proper manner. So we promote the practice of how this should be
Can you
run.
break down that proper manner?
The proper manner is that you have a particular set of tools and mechanisms that should be followed, because you can't take corners. There's a particular way you need to begin a project. There's some things that need to be in place. There needs to be something like a project charter. You need to define who your stakeholders are going to be. You need to be able to talk about all these things. Yeah, and then you're able to bring all these things together, like she said, in a particular measured and timely manner, so that you actually achieve success at the end of the project.
I want you to drop the technical language now.
Yes.
What's the picture of project management in Uganda? Because this is where you are yourself.
Yes, fantastic. And this is something that we're trying to address and say, look, right now, anyone can become a project manager, but let them have the training. Let them have the training to be able to run these particular projects. And that is why we've organized the conference, for example, tomorrow, so that people come and share experiences. They look at real life projects. This is the second national conference, incidentally. The first one was in 2017 under the theme of agriculture. This one is under infrastructure. It's talking about infrastructure development. And I mean, thanks to people like Solid Rock who have sponsored us. But the idea is that we try and let people know, share their experiences, and know that it's actually possible. Ugandans are actually running successful projects. What are the tools? What is the art that they are using to be able to be successful? How can we copy? How can we share knowledge and be able to be successful in our internal projects, whether it's at home, whether it's in the public sector, whether it's in the private sector?
Okay.
Yes.
Tell us about the conference.
So the conference is tomorrow. It's at Hotel Africana. It's the whole day. It is going to be running from 8 o'clock up to 6 o'clock. We have an array of 31 speakers. The guest of honor is going to be the Minister of State for Planning, Honorable David Bahati. You have a great number of, we've had a great response from from sponsors, Solid Rock, Ministry of Finance, INOLID, Uganda Communications Commission, and you have people from around the world coming to give their experience. The keynote speaker is Dr. Derek Kayongo. He was a CNN hero in 2011. He's a Ugandan-born CEO of a global soap project based in New York. He's going to share his experiences. You have speakers from Cameroon, speakers from Nigeria, speakers from Botswana, and Canada as well. So all these are coming together to try and share experiences. And you also have people from Uganda, NITA Uganda, Uganda Communications Commission, Ministry of Finance, Uganda National Oil Company. How are all these people learning from the job, learning to make projects work? What are the tools that are successful? They will also talk about the failures that they've had, the challenges that they've had, and how have they been able to address the challenges, or they come to seek for answers in how this can be addressed.
Okay, so who is invited and who is not invited? Who will be a trespasser kind of?
No, everyone is invited.
Okay.
Everyone is invited, as long as you have the interest.
What time?
The time
Where?
is 8 o'clock, Hotel Africana. We start 8 o'clock up to 6 o'clock. It's a whole day's event, and we start at 8 tomorrow, Thursday, 31st, Hotel Africana.
Thank you so much. His name is Mr. Barija Morris. He's the president, Project Management Institute.
Correct.
He came along with Miss PASIMA Sule from the Solid Rock Life and Business and she is the CEO. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. That is all we had for you this afternoon. My name is Michael Jordan Lukomwa. Enjoy the rest of the day. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Afternoon, guys.